So before we dive into today's video, there is something I do kind of want to talk about, and that's the whole idea of X Factor. And let me explain. So when it comes to Marvel Unlimited or really any other online sources for books to buy or to read online, when it comes to X Factor, the last few books in this series, the original Volume 1 series, has not been re-released yet digitally. So unfortunately for us, we might run into some issues when it comes to our coverage over X Factor. Now, technically, we are in luck because most of the books we need for X Factor still takes place in the Onslaught saga, which is the next event we're going to cover. But after Onslaught, we're kind of done with X Factor until you have Marvel go back and re-release all those books that came after Onslaught for X Factor. Now, when it comes to issue number 114, you see, I kind of forgot to cover this book in our last X Factor video. So what I'm going to do is kind of release this issue by itself, and then we should be back on track when it comes to X Factor in our next X Factor video. Now, with all that being said, we're also kind of picking up with the idea of Mystique and Wild Child being officially on the team at this point in time. And let me explain. You see, after Age of Apocalypse, when it came to Marvel Comics, they wanted to make sure that fans knew where to go after reading Age of Apocalypse. And so they gave us X-Men Prime. And X-Men Prime was this one-shot that was technically a starting off point for all the different X books coming out at that time. So you read X-Men Prime, and then you go into your own favorite X-Men book. So Uncanny X-Men, X Factor, Excalibur, X-Force, and let's not forget the solo series like Wolverine, Cable, and also X-Men. But X-Men Prime was that starting off point after Age of Apocalypse. Now, in that book right there, we had saw Mystique being chased down by X Factor. Now, an unknown person had attacked her from behind and disappeared, but it allowed X Factor to be able to find her and take her in. Now, when it came to Forge, he kind of gave her two options: go to jail, but also join X Factor. Now, technically, she did join X Factor, but not on her own willpower. You see, what Forge did was he put a chip in her mind to kind of say, hey, listen, we are always tracking you, but also that chip makes sure that you are not able to turn into other people who are part of the X family longer than 30 seconds. And so as we get into the opening pages of the storyline, we're getting reminded that Mystique, who's right now pretending to be Storm, is now on X Factor. But we are also seeing Forge making sure the actual chip does work out properly, because for Forge, he wants to make sure if you have Mystique try to be somebody else who's part of the X family longer than 30 seconds, will she feel a huge amount of pain? Yes, she will. The chip will go off. If she tries to get away, the chip will be able to track her. Now, with all that being said, is also Val Cooper and Forge saying, we're giving you another chance, but at the same time, we're keeping our eyes on you. Now, for Val Cooper, we have to remember, back in the 1980s, you had a team called Freedom Fighters. Now, Freedom Fighters was just Mystique's Brotherhood of Evil Mutants who had began to work for the government. But over time, you had different members leave the team to the point where you almost had everybody gone, including Mystique. But also you had Mystique kill off some government people as well. And so for Forge and also Val Cooper, they're kind of like, listen, we got to make sure that we can trust you. We got to make sure we can keep our eyes on you, because if we lose you or you try anything at all, you're going to prison for a very, very long time. Now, something else we have to remember that in our last video, we had discussed that at this point in time in Marvel Comics, you had two different people coming after Havoc. Now, one of them we already learned about, and that would be the Sugar Man. He has sent what could have been a clone of Scarlet McKenzie, an ex-lover of Havoc, who just reappeared out of nowhere working for the Sugar Man, try to kidnap Havoc and bring him over to Genosha. Now, we had also learned that for the Sugar Man, because he is from the Age of Apocalypse timeline, when he came over to this timeline, he came over his timeline 20 years in the past, working behind the scenes when it came to Genosha this entire time. Now, with all that being said, he wanted Havoc, but unfortunately, Mackenzie had failed. Now, when it came to another character known as Fatale, she's working for somebody else. We have no idea who she's working for, but apparently they're also trying to go after Havoc as well. Now, her secret boss tells her like, hey, listen, you now have a different mission. I have somebody else in mind to go after Havoc. And speaking of Havoc, around this time in Marvel Comics, the dude was going through a lot. And let me explain. So for Havoc, around this time in Marvel Comics, the dude could not control his ability. Now, we have no idea why just yet at this point, but for Havoc, with the idea of him not being able to control his ability, he now has to wear his old classic Havoc suit. Not the complete set, but most of it to kind of help with him to control his ability. And he hates that because now he's not really able to spend time with Polaris, to hold her in his arms, the woman he loves so much. Now, with all that being said, he's also upset with Forge. And the reason why, because Forge brought in 2 new people to replace 2 people who had left the team. Strong Guy had a heart attack, but also Wolfbane left the team because Moira McTaggart has the legacy virus, her adoptive mother. Now, with all that being said, you had Wildchild replace one of them and Mystique replacing the other. And so for Havoc, he's saying, I'm the field team leader. You should have came to me to clear things with me. Like, I'm okay with Wildchild because he's from Alpha Flight. But Mystique? A criminal? Have you lost your mind? But it's Forge saying, you don't understand. 1, your powers were going crazy. 2, you were kidnapped. And 3, where your powers are working right now is messing with your mind. And because right now, mutants and humans are not really working together at the moment, thanks to the legacy virus, I need to step in more to kind of help represent this team in a better light, because we're X Factor. We are a mutant government team. We're trying our best to build relations between mutants and humans. And right now, with you acting the way you're acting right now, I couldn't put you out there as a field team leader. I had to take a more active role. Now, while you had those 2 characters having that conversation, Mystique was watching them. And this is Mystique trying to make moves when it comes to finding a way out of X Factor. Now, she was caught by Val Cooper and Wolfbane. Now, for Val Cooper, it's her allowing Mystique to be on the team, but at the same time making sure to keep eyes on her, because Val Cooper, she has gone out of her way to try her best to clear the name of Mystique so many times in Marvel Comics. It's Val saying like, hey, I'm going to give you another chance, but this time, you're going to do a whole lot more when it comes to trying to convince me that I can trust you or possibly work with you. Now, with Wolfbane, it's also him kind of being on guard for Val Cooper to make sure she's well protected from Mystique. And we're kind of left to wonder, hey, is there something going on between these 2 characters, like, possibly a relationship? Now, I kind of want to jump back over to Havoc, because for Havoc, it's him right now paying a visit over to Strong Guy. Like I said earlier, for Strong Guy, he had a heart attack. So right now, his body had been placed in some kind of medical container to kind of help heal his heart properly. Here comes the big problem, because for Havoc, he feels like a lot of changes have been done in a very short period of time for X Factor, ever since issue number 100, with the death of Jamie Maddox. He died in that issue, but after his death, Wolfbane left the team. Strong Guy had a heart attack. Havoc powers are going crazy. And let's not forget, Mystique had also joined the team. It's him saying like, so many changes have been done, and he doesn't know like if all these different changes are really good for X Factor or possibly for him as well. And so you have Havoc leaving, but we're kind of left with the idea that he might leave the team completely. Now, for a brief moment, we do pick up with, Wild Child and also Val Cooper, kind of hinting at the idea that possibly they do have feelings for one another, but also is him want to have a conversation about Alpha Flight, kind of leading into the idea that they're no longer going to be around, which means he no longer has a home. And so X Factor could be his new home team, but it's also him want to talk to her about them. But for her, she has too much on her plate at the moment. There's so many things happening for X Factor, but also with the mutant race and the relations with the human race. So unfortunately, they can't have that conversation. Now, at the end of this video, it's really more of us now seeing Forge and also Mystique having a conversation with one another. Now, with their conversation, it's really more of Forge knowing that he can't trust Mystique. But for Mystique, is more of, no, I'm trying to use Forge as a way to get off this team. But it's also her kind of realizing that there's something going on with him. Now, Forge knows he can't trust Mystique for so many different reasons. But one of them is because he tried to be with her. He tried to build something special with her, but she played him. She used him and got what she wanted and left him behind. And so with Forge, it's him saying like, no, listen, you're on the team, but there's no way you and I can rekindle our love all over again because of what you did to me. But it's also him saying like, there's no way I'm going to tell you what's going on with me right now at the moment. And so the book kind of ends on that note right there. And with that being said, guys, please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, see y'all next time. Later.